This, of course, is the problem with bringing people into your country who have no respect for your history or your traditions. They have no ties to your country or your culture. They don't care. So when we hear that multiculturalism is a strength, that it enriches, that it adds flavor and variety to life, no, it doesn't. All right. In France, a foreign national from Morocco was recently caught on camera doing what you can see here. We'll put it up on the screen. He's at a grave site at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which commemorates and honors all French soldiers who have died. And this is in Paris. And here he is bending down and lighting his cigarette with the flame that they always keep lit to honor, the fallen, desecrating this gravesite and this memorial. This is what this immigrant did, this foreigner. Just an extreme level of flagrant disrespect. And the journalist Colin Rugg on X has an update on this. He says, the 47-year-old Moroccan national lit a cigarette with the flame at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Paris, was fined a whopping $1.16. Hakeem H. was caught on camera lighting a cigarette at the Paris War Monument last week. The man was initially facing a fine of up to $17,400, with some calling for him to be deported. While in court, Hakeem H. said his action was the stupidity of the century and said he was under the influence of alcohol and drugs at the time. Along with the $1.16 symbolic fine, he was given a 3-month suspended sentence and ordered to seek treatment for alcohol and drug addictions. Now, I have not been able to corroborate this $1 fine claim anywhere. I didn't spend a lot of time, admittedly, looking into it, so I'm not sure how accurate that is. Maybe I'm hopelessly naive, but even for France, that seems absurd. But I don't know. But regardless, obviously, your tolerance for foreigners desecrating your national memorials should be zero. You should come down on them. You should come down on them the way that they would if you tried to pull something like this in, say, Singapore or China or any Muslim country. If they have some kind of monument, you go light a cigarette off of the monument. How do you think that's going to work out for you? Not well. And, it'd be years in prison. It would be corporal punishment. It would be, you may never see the outside of a prison cell ever again. We might never hear from you ever again. That's probably what's going to happen. That's the last time anyone in the outside world is ever going to hear from you. And that is actually the correct way to respond. You cannot tolerate that. You are not coming into our country and desecrating our war memorials. You should treat that like that person just did a mass shooting and killed 10 people. And I'm not saying it's exactly morally equivalent, but obviously it's not you're killing 10 people versus desecrate, but it's still our tolerance for it. What I'm saying is our tolerance for that should be the lowest level possible, which is zero. But apparently, according to this, it's only going to be $1.16. This, of course, is the problem with bringing people into your country who have no respect for your history or your traditions. They have no ties to your country or your culture. They don't care. They're often openly hostile to you and your culture, and this is what you get. And I was thinking about this. And this is not directly related to the incident in France, but it is related to the problem with importing foreigners en masse. That mass migration is, among other things, really depressing. It is depressing and bland. And ironically, it kills diversity. It doesn't create diversity, it kills it. At least it kills the only kind of diversity that actually matters. And I'll explain what I mean, because I was thinking about this the other day. The other day, I was driving through a rural area. I was out in the country, hours away from the nearest big city, and I decided to stop at what looks like a kind of a mom and pop convenience store place. And it's obvious the store has been around for a long time. If you live in a small town, if you drive through small towns, you've seen these kinds of places, and you can see the signage outside. It's weather worn and faded. It looks like the building's been around for 40 or 50 years or longer. And it just looked like it's kind of like mom and pop type of place. And the sign on side of the building was advertising great, delicious, made-to-order food, the best lunch in town, great sandwiches, right? And that's what it looked like on the outside. And so I was hungry, as I usually am. And so I stopped, and I like going into places like this. And I walk in naively expecting a warm, inviting local place, right? That's what I was kind of expecting. And instead, what I found, of course, is that the place was staffed entirely by foreigners. And they looked to me, they looked to be Middle Eastern or South Asian. And they're all speaking a foreign language. I walk into this place. Again, we're out in the country, far away from any big city. And I walk into this place and I don't even understand the language they're speaking. And on the inside, it was just the same generic, dumpy gas station vibe that you find everywhere in every major city. And they didn't make food anymore, right? They didn't do ready to order, they didn't do made to order food. It was no longer the place with the best lunch in town, as they once, many years ago, proclaimed proudly, Then you can imagine that many years ago, there was probably the guy that runs the place, and he's behind the counter and he's whipping up, making, they probably got a small menu of only a couple of things. And the kind of place you walk in and you say, hey, whatever it is that you do well here, go ahead and I'll have one of those. And, but that's long gone. That's not the case anymore. And so now they had a couple of like pre-made food options that looked really terrible. Same kind of food options they have at every gas station. And they had, and mostly they sold lotto tickets and they sold vapes and they sold, glass pipes and it did just become basically a glorified like smoke shop. And so I turned around and left. This summer isn't just hot, it is historic. Flash flood warnings are at their highest in 40 years. Storms after storm, towns are inundated, roads wash away. Everywhere you see the same thing. People waiting for water, for food, for someone to come and save them. And you keep hearing help's on the way, but what if it's not? What if help takes days or never comes at all? That could happen. Truth is, the system can barely handle one emergency, let alone dozens at once. Don't wait until disaster strikes. Take steps now to protect yourself and your loved ones. Be prepared, because when every second counts, you need to count on yourself. And especially as a father, it's important to be looking out for your family. I know I take that, of course, very seriously, as any father does. Right now, My Patriot Supply is giving away 4 weeks of emergency food. Just go to mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh to find out how you can claim your free 4-week food supply and join millions of Americans who are preparing with My Patriot Supply. Claim your free 4-week kit today at mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh. So later that day, I was curious, and when I got home, I Googled. I looked it up, and sure enough, you plug the place into Google and you find the Google reviews, and you look and you see that 6, 7, 8 years ago, this place was getting a lot of great reviews, and people were talking about it's a great place, a friendly place, great company, good food, quaint little place, and then a lot of good reviews. And then you start seeing the 1-star reviews, the 2-star, 1-star, 2.5, 1-star reviews come pouring in. And that is right at the moment. And you see one of the comments, one of the reviews says it, that a couple of years ago, the place was bought by someone and there's new ownership now. And so this is when the foreigners came in and they bought the place. And the 1-star reviews come pouring in. And they just stripped it of everything that made it great, everything that made it inviting and warm and local, right? Everything that made it feel like the place where it was located, made it feel distinct from other places. They turn it into a foreign-owned dump that sells lotto tickets and beer and vapes. And of course, this is just one case of many thousands. There's nothing remarkable about it. I'm not saying there's anything. That's my point. This is happening all over the country. This is happening everywhere in the country. And it's a tragedy. It's just tragic. And I see this so often. It's not the first time I've seen it, but this time I don't know. I just left that place and it's like, this is just sad. This is a really sad. And it's not even like you go in there and you've got the new ownership and yeah, they're foreigners, but they're trying their best to preserve what it was before and trying their best to make it still feel like a local place. No, they turn into just this totally soulless cash grab of a place. Lowest common denominator, utterly soulless and dank and grimy, and just like you don't want to spend more than 30 seconds in there. And it's happening everywhere. So when we hear that multiculturalism is a strength, that it enriches, that it adds flavor and variety to life, no, it doesn't. Actually, it does the opposite. It strips the flavor. It strips the variety, the quality, the local culture and feel. And that stuff matters. And it's everywhere now. Now you have, as much as I hear about, multicultural, everything. Yeah, well, that's interesting, right? It's interesting that you call this diversity. And yet now here's this little place that used to be a very local place, very distinct, have a distinct charm to it. And now I walk into it and it looks like literally every dumpy gas station in every major city in the entire country. This is multicultural. How is this diverse? It looks like every depressing convenience store, 7-Eleven, gas station that I've ever been in anywhere. If I walked into that place and you just transported me there in the middle of, I would have no clue where I was. I guess like this could be like Baltimore, this could be Chicago, this could be LA, this could be anywhere. Whereas before, if you transported me into the middle of that place, I'd look around and go, okay, well, this is like, I'd be able to tell pretty quickly. You'd be able to tell where you were because you're in a place where they have pride in the fact that like, we're here, we're in this town. We've lived here for a long time. My grandparents lived here, right? I know the guy, like all that is gone now. And that's what happens when you bring in people that have no love for the local culture, no respect for it, no tie to it at all, no desire to preserve it at all. And it matters. And we're told that it doesn't matter. We're told that we shouldn't care about this. And meanwhile, in any other country, with any other group of people, preserving the culture is understood by everyone to be important, to be a worthy goal, to preserve the culture. I mean, for God's sake, you have primitive tribes in loincloths in the Amazon rainforest, right, that have been living in the year 10,000 BC, since the year 10,000 BC. And what do we say now? We say, well, we got to preserve the culture. What even is the culture? I mean, the culture is in every sense like backwards and primitive, and they're dying of they're dying of diseases that people haven't died from in modern society for hundreds of years, right? Their teeth are rotting out, they're dying of like tooth infections. And yet we look at that and we say, it's very important to preserve that culture. Okay, then why isn't it important to preserve the culture of the town that I was driving through? We got to preserve the culture of the Amazon rainforest loincloth tribe. Fine, I could buy that. But this small town, preserving that culture means nothing. It's that culture is nothing. Just throw it in the freaking garbage is what you're telling me. And not only that, but if we say a word about preserving that culture, then we're racist, then we're bigots, then we're far-right extremists. Well, I've had enough of that. And I think that everyone, I think most people have had enough of that. Yeah, let's preserving culture is important, and it's important here. In fact, it's the most important here in my country because it's my country. This is our country. Preserving our own culture should be more important to us than preserving anyone else's culture. And that should go without saying. But there are a lot of things these days that have to be said that should go without saying. That's just one of them. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.